Are you a joyful person?
Oh, when I'm with my friends, yeah, but sometimes when I'm not, I'll think about the bad times in my life and it'll be hard.
Yes, I'm very joyful because I have everything I need in my life.
I'm very joyful. I'm always happy. I'm never upset, never mad. Nothing really bothers me.
I like to think so. I'd like to think so.
Yes, I am a joyful person.
I'd like to say I was a joyful person most of the time. I do believe I'm a joyful person. I always like to have a good time, Sad moments aren't always so fun, so I always like to make the best of any situation I'm put in.
So Nick, are you a joyful person?
I'd say so. I have so many blessings in life. How can I not be a joyful person? I wouldn't have to ask you the question, Rach. You seem so joyful already.
I know, same. I just have so much to be thankful for because God is just so good.
Sharing our joy, making a joyful noise is what we're supposed to do as Catholic Christians.
And that's just what we'll be talking about today, making a joyful noise. Hi everyone, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Nick.
And this is Real Faith TV. The teens on the street seem to feel like they were joyful.
We'll meet them again a little later in the show.
But first, let's meet our spotlight guest, who is the epitome of joyfulness and making a joyful noise.
Felician Sister Marilyn Minter is hard not to notice. Wherever she goes, she is praising the Lord with joyful noise.
Whether it's singing and playing guitar in a contemporary Christian band,
or sharing a smile and the love of God working with the poor in Haiti.
Let's meet her now and find out how the joy of the Lord gives meaning to and comes alive in her life.
I like to look at the word joy as Jesus, others, and you. Joy is different from happiness because happiness is what? Outside of us, right? But joy is inside. Jesus talks about joy in John's Gospel a lot, doesn't he? He talks about this joy will abide in you. This joy, my joy, I will give you my joy that will live inside of you. A joy that no one can take away. Joy is a spirit that's deep inside of us that knowing that I'm in relationship with Jesus, I have others to share that with, and see that in yourself, it makes me want to get up in the morning. We look in Nehemiah chapter 8, the joy of the Lord is my strength. If I can remember that joy that comes from Jesus, that's a fruit of the Spirit that helps me to live, I have an inner strength that no one can take away from me, an inner strength, an inner power. And I believe that comes from my first anointing at baptism, and then empowered in my second anointing at confirmation. The way in which I live my faith out loud, first of all, is really being committed to my own prayer life. Every day I spend 1 hour with God's Word, preferably in front of the Blessed Sacrament, to really allow that Word to make its home in me. I just ask the Lord, help me to see your face. Help me to see you where I'm at. Help me to see you in the people that I meet. When we went to Haiti after the earthquake, we just were a presence, a smile. No language, we didn't know the language, but a smile was loud and clear. We went to these tent cities. One of them said in their little broken English, "Oh my gosh, the church has come to us. The church has never come to us before like this." And I was really taken aback, and that spoke loud and clear to me how I should make a joyful noise.
Wow, what an inspirational person. I just feel like I love what Sister Marilyn said about joy and happiness and how joy is really deep and you feel it. Because I know when I'm at Mass, sometimes I feel that joy and it's inside and you can't put it into words. It's just an amazing feeling.
I like how Sister abbreviated joy into Jesus, meaning Jesus comes first, then others, and then you. I think that's really important to remember.
Yeah, I definitely think so. It was a really creative way. Let's meet our studio guests and see how they make a joyful noise.
Okay, they are Drew, Jamie, Caitlin, John, Laura, Rick, and Colleen.
So what meaning does joy have in your life, and how do you feel God's joy?
When I help others, when I do charity work, when I do hospice work, when I am able to touch others and make them happy in turn.
So I think seeing other people being joyful makes us joyful.
Yeah, exactly. I think one of the most joyful things you can see is just God's little gift of a beautiful child with a happy smile just trying to cheer everyone up in a room.
Yeah. I think that when you're really feeling joy, it has a connotation that you just can't contain it. It's not just a peaceful, quiet happiness, it's I'm really happy and I want to tell you about it so that you can be happy too.
Yeah, and you definitely want to share it, because I can remember for me, for Good Friday, I remember seeing on Holy Thursday Mass, seeing the Eucharist go away, and like that sadness I felt. And then I remember waking up on Sunday and just going to church, and the colors and the music, and you can't describe joy. It's just this feeling that it's just bursting, and you just want to share it. It's this need to share it with others.
No, yeah. Sister said how happiness and joy are different, and I feel like happiness, it can just be one person on their own. Like, you don't need other people to be happy. But joyfulness is something you just have to share with everyone, and it's contagious. Like, everyone just, once one person has it, everyone does.
Our Catholic identity is one area where it is important that our actions line up with our words.
Do people know you're Catholic?
If not, you might consider if you're truly living out your faith.
If yes, you might consider how people know that you are Catholic.
Next, let's go back to the teens on the street and find out how we can share and teach others about the joy of being a Christian.
Let's check it out.
I think just believing in yourself and believing that you should always be happy with having Jesus Christ in your life, I think that'll help people be more joyful.
I believe that the joy that Christians show to others comes through in anything that they say.
If you're joyful, your outlook on life is just amazing. You just have goals in life. You try to be the best person you can.
I work with somebody that's very connected to God, and he brings me joy every day just by being there with me. I feel that he brings Christianity into my life just because he's around me all the time.
I mean, if you're a good Christian, then like you love people.
When you're nice to people and when you're like happy and joyful, like then other people see it and they're like, they appreciate it.
Tell me about someone you know who is like this. Someone who teaches the love and joy of Jesus by the way they treat others.
One of my friends, Jake, he invited me to his church, and I went and I liked it a lot. He reads from the Bible, he takes lessons from it, he tries to show me.
Actually, my grandfather, he's a very Catholic man, and you know, anything he says seems to do with like the Bible or anything he learned at church.
My boyfriend, Trevor Buey, he's the best person ever. He is such a kind person, and he shows it towards me, and it makes me want to be joyful to other people and be kind.
Priests, they're good people.
My CCD teacher, Mrs. Kroll, she helps you understand everything behind those stories.
My boss, Joel, he has a lot of joy in him.
I think that my best friends teach me, Christianity and Jesus just because they're always around me, they're always happy, they're always looking at the bright side of things.
My mom, she treats everyone nice. I mean, I feel like she really teaches everyone to like love each other and be nice to one another.
Love is a defining feature of Christianity.
People we meet should know we are Christians by the love and care we show towards others.
In John's first letter, we read, "If someone who has worldly means sees a brother in need and refuses him compassion,
how can the love of God remain in him?
Children, let us love not in word or in speech,
but in deed and truth."
Next, Sister Marilyn tells us how actions speak louder than words and how her joy and love draws people together through music,
even when they don't speak the same language.
Let's check it out.
I think actions speak louder than words. And first of all, I do believe it's the way in which I am present to people. When you walk into a room and you smile, what happens? People smile right back at you. If I would walk into some place and just look at the ceiling, after a few minutes, people would say, what the heck is she looking at up there, right? Actions. So I believe that the way in which I can share my joy, first of all, is by letting my face know I'm happy and I know it. And I'm going to do more than clap my hands. I find that when I play guitar and I'm singing a song or singing a ballad or doing a contemporary rock song, and doing a bass run, I find that that music gets people to smile, gets people to clap, gets people to do hand motions. And the joy that's inside of me comes out through the music. And I think music can just draw people together. I was in Haiti after the earthquake down in Port-au-Prince, and we were walking in the streets in the tent city, and I was playing that song, Yes, Lord, Trade in My Sorrows, right? And I said, oh my gosh, I know a little bit of French, let me do Oui, Jésus, right? Yes, Lord. And as they kept coming out, they were hearing like a kind of like a rock beat, because I was playing it, bum, 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 right? And these kids and teenagers kept coming out. Kids who had nothing, nothing, hardly any clothing. We're smiling, clapping, jumping for the Lord. I think it's the international way to communicate.
Again, I'm just so amazed with Sister's joyfulness. It's really emitting from her. And like what she said about music being the international language, I love music. I love playing music, hearing music, and everyone can understand it. You don't need a language for that. And it spreads, it brings people together, and it spreads the love and the joy.
I love the way Sister puts the joy and so much expression into her music that it's just like a tidal wave going out. And she said everybody came and joined her and started singing with her, and I absolutely love that. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, and I just feel so happy after seeing her, you know? So what are some ways you share your joy of Christ with others and make a joyful noise?
I think like just a small act, like you said, even like the smile, it spreads around. If you can make someone smile, you could like maybe even make their day. So if you go out of the way to go get the door for someone or help them out just in a little way, I think like you can spread the joy and spread the love just by doing little things to help other people out.
I totally agree with you, Laura. Just helping them out, doing a little random act of kindness that puts our joy and transfers it into them and makes them joyful so they can spread it on to someone else too.
I've done a lot of volunteer work with a group of elderly people at my parish, and whenever I go there, I just try to like emit happiness to them, like what I'm feeling, even if I have something going on or if I don't really feel like being there, it's like they don't need to know that. Like when they see me, like going up to them like, hi, how are you? It's so good to see you. It just makes them smile, and they're glad that someone is sharing that with them and wants to be there with them.
Yeah, it's crazy the little things that you can do to make someone so joyful and so happy.
I volunteer at a hospital, and I work with patients, so even little things like getting them crackers or juice or asking them if they need another blanket, they become so happy, and like you guys said, it becomes a domino effect, a chain reaction.
No, yeah, our choir, we go on a field trip to Bear Creek Assistant Living Center, and like we get up in front of them, they're all gathered, and they like put out a special time in their day to come and watch us, and we sing all our Christmas songs or all our spring concert songs, and the smiles on their faces is just so priceless. They're just like so happy, and then they'll start singing along because they're like old time songs, and it's just a great experience.
I think God gave us each our own special gifts so we can spread the joy. Like I have a column in my local newspaper, and hopefully through that, my whole town can feel the joy that I want to bring out in my writing. So that might be the gift God gave me, writing, but some of us here, some of it's music. Maybe it's playing a sport and someone really likes that sport, so like they're happy after they see you do well.
Yeah, I really agree with what Colleen said, because I know for me, like I go to public school, and this year I was blessed to have a teacher who really encouraged us to write about stuff and relate stuff to something that we felt close to. So for me, it was my faith, and I would write poems and essays about my faith, and being able to not only write it, but read it to my fellow classmates. It was really, really cool. It gave me an experience to deepen my faith and to spread the joy to others, and it was just a really awesome experience, especially in public school. St. Joseph Mascate, born in 1880, was a doctor who shared the joy of Christ with others.
He would leave money for prescriptions in the bed of his patients who were poor.
Through his witness, many of his patients returned to the church and were renewed in their faith and joy for Christ.
St. Joseph Mascate can be a great inspiration to us as someone who lives their faith out loud.
Let's go back to the teens on the street and find out who inspires them with joy.
I have some people in my life that live their faith out loud. I would have to say a lot of my friends.
My aunt, she's really religious, and she helps me through all my problems.
My good friend Emma, she's in the Aztec Hotel right now. She always preaches her faith. She believes like 100% and like everyone should be equally respected. And
my whole family and like people I know and like the church and stuff.
My best friends have lived out loud. We're crazy, but then again, we're like very faithful. So I feel like my best friends are the ones that influence me most.
My grandmother, who passed away this past week, she was amazing. She really was. She was the best person I ever met. She loved God. She loved St. Jude. St. Jude she prayed to every day, and I look up to her. She's the person I look to all the time.
I go to a Catholic school, actually, so we're all taught to live our faith out loud, and we have to do community service and things like that, and I think that teaches a lot.
Sometimes I find that people who live their faith out loud and kind of try to show everyone that, oh, they're religious, I find that sometimes annoying. But then I think there are a lot of other people who are full of faith. They don't try to push it on anyone, but through their actions, it does show, and it kind of makes you remind you of like what you should be like.
When people ask me about my religion, I'm really open with it. I don't have a problem talking about it. Even though some people might not agree with it, I'm fine with it. And I think the best thing you can do is don't be forceful with your religion. Just make people aware of what it actually is.
Next, Sister Marilyn shares who is an inspiration to her when it comes to living her faith out loud.
Let's check it out.
Blessed John Paul II, he's like a real hero for me when he went to countries throughout the world and evangelized by his presence. He's the first one on my list. Mother Teresa of Calcutta, another one, just by her presence. A little scrawny woman that just said, love God, just love God, you know. St. Francis of Assisi was one that, when I read his life and his poetry, this was a guy that lived on the edge. This was a guy that lived with passion. He lived his faith with clarity, and he truly believed in Jesus Christ. And also the foundress of my own community, Blessed Mary Angela Truskowska. She was a woman from Poland, lived in a time when there was a lot of wars coming on in the late 1800s, but a woman that knew that joy of the Lord. Why? Because she had a commitment with Jesus Christ. It's people like that, but also in my own religious community, it's like living in a family. I am a Felician sister. Felician means joy, and so joy is part of our own spirituality. So I live with a lot of sisters that have a real joy to them in their presence. I also work with many great, awesome priests and people in this archdiocese that are really joyful, sincere people. Passages that come to mind, Psalm 150, praise the Lord with cymbals and tambourines and strings and dance. St. Paul, he never talked about his conversion in the Acts of the Apostles. He spoke about the revelation of Jesus in his life, that it was revealed that Jesus appeared to him as the resurrected one. That brings me that joy. That speaks out loud. If I can reveal Jesus, then I think that speaks a loud message.
Sister said how she had like these role models that she follows, and a role model for me would definitely be my mom, because when we're at church and she sees that something needs to be done, she's always the first one to ask and be like, oh, I can do this if you need me to, and she's a lector, a Eucharistic minister, and whatever else needs to be done, she's always there, and whenever someone needs her, she's there.
Yeah, like she said with Mother Teresa, that's the same with me. Like the way Mother Teresa always just embraced the poor, and just, like I said before, a smile is infectious. I got that from her. That really touched my life and like what I want to do for the rest of my days here in this world, and you know, just make a difference and spread love in the most pure form.
I think that there's a lot of saintly people who are good examples, like Saint Maximilian Kolbe, who was in a concentration camp, and he actually led spiritual singing to help the people try to like work through, and he was still spreading his joy when he was like walking towards his death, and he literally gave his life for someone else in like the name of Christ so they could live on.
I have a friend from my school who I think is just such a radiant person, and I remember I was talking to her one time about how there's so many things that need prayer in the world, and she was excited about it. She's just like, there are so many things to pray for. And another time there was like a lot going on and it was stressful, and she's like, you know what, just like whatever you do, I'm doing it for the glory of God, so thank God under all circumstances. And I think it's just such an inspiration for living out my own faith. It's like, I want to have that same attitude, like, you know, even tackling problems, like even, you know, if you were called to head toward martyrdom, like Maximilian Kolbe, like to do it for God and to do it with love.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest model of joy in my life is Nick, because whenever I talk to Nick, he's always so happy, and it's infectious. Like whenever we talk, I always end the conversation feeling good and wanting to spread it, like we said before, the domino effect, wanting to spread that joy to others. And it's really rare that you find people so full of joy and so willing to share it with others.
Thanks, Rachel.
An unknown author was quoted saying, after all is said and done, a lot more will have been said than done.
I don't know about you, but I want to be a kind of Christian that acts and speaks like a Christian.
I don't want to live a double life that gives a bad name to Christianity.
I want to act with love, joy, and all the other virtues.
I want the people I encounter to experience Jesus through my actions.
How do we do this?
That's what we ask the teens on the street. How can we live our faith so others will see the joy of Christ through our actions and our lives?
I think by always having a smile on their face, they should always bring faith to other people and bring happiness.
Be the best person you could be. Like, don't sin, don't make bad decisions. You live once. So make sure every day is live to your fullest.
You could volunteer at a soup kitchen. That's good.
Just be as open and accepting as the Christian or Catholic community teaches you to be.
You help people when you can, and if you can't, you try and find a way.
By words and actions, I think just by dancing, singing, being happy,
Like your actions, they really impact people. So if you're nice and if you're caring, people will notice and they'll be appreciative.
When you feel a joy, it is easier to share the joy.
Next, Sister Marilyn tells us to find what we're passionate about and channel this passion to share the joy of Christ with others.
If you're passionate about something, it's electrifying and it draws people. So I would encourage young people to be passionate about something that's deep inside of them. For me, I love mission work. I'm passionate about Haiti, going to Haiti. Young people today are not the future of our church, they are the church. And how can they live out loud their faith? By their actions, by the way in which we treat one another, by the way in which we speak to one another, by the way in which we're present to one another. We can't judge. We need to know that everyone has something good inside of them. I work with youth and young adults in the Archdiocese of Newark, and you just have one little idea. We need to do this in downtown Newark in a soup kitchen. They take it to another level by saying, good, let's bring cakes, let's do this, let's hand out little soaps when we give them the food. And so I think the way in which young people can live their faith out loud is by truly being attentive to what's around them. But I also believe it's sharing who they are. The most important thing is to be in relationship and to partner and to accompany people. Because when you're in relationship, we're building up each other's self-esteem, right? A human dignity is shared. I pray that young people will get to know other young people and the goodness in them. Because every young person is good deep inside. It's that stuff outside of us that gets to us sometimes. And my prayer and my advice is that get to know other people that have the same values, beliefs, and thoughts. And what better way to do that than through a great youth group? Or look at a group that maybe is reaching out because maybe this town has a lot of litter, and work together. When young people work together doing something good, you not only have joy, but peace is experienced. And that's what I believe young people are looking for, a real deep inner peace.
I think Sister was right. I mean, everyone does want a peace. It's easy to just go, when I actually teach CCD, I help and volunteer and tell the kids about Jesus and why it makes them happy and to do the right thing. That's an easy environment, but it takes courage to actually show the joy and care for things like God would want us to. When one of my friends was littering, I said, no, you don't do that. That's messing up the world. You need to help and make everything better, because if you don't stand up and try to spread what you feel and your beliefs, then nothing's going to change.
I like how Sister was saying how we need to be one community with each other and just to love each other, because being in community shares the joy, and being in community is about love, and love is about God, and God's all that really matters in the end. And when we get together and we have the joy, we just give back to God for everything we have.
There's a song, Electricity, from Billy Elliot, and it's about this boy who's passionate about dancing, and he's courageous to do it, and he doesn't care what other people think. And it brings him joy, which will give other people joy by watching him. And he's just so courageous and joyful in what he does. It makes other people want to do what they want to.
I really liked what Sister Marilyn was saying about how everyone does have good in them, and you're right, everyone is looking for that peace. And I think people look for it in a lot of different ways, and they try a lot of different things to see what's really going to bring them that true joy. But through our faith, we have it. God gives that to us, and just like it says in the Bible, not as the world gives, does God give us that peace. And as Catholics, we're in the world, but we're not of the world. So I think that by showing people that it's we are normal people, we don't just you know, we pray. Prayer is important, but say we don't just sit in a corner and stay isolated and pray all day. That we have this joy within us that we want to share with other people. That I think it can make other people want that too and want to come to the faith so that they can have what we have.
When we show love, we bring people to God, who is joy, who just is joy and just is the greatest joy that anyone can have.
And like Laura was saying before, it does take courage, especially when we're in a group of friends and it's our peers and we might not feel comfortable like not doing, like if everyone's doing something and we don't want to do it because of our beliefs and our values, or even if we want to do something driven by our beliefs and our values. It's hard when you're in a group, and that's why you have to find and surround your people with people who are willing to accept that joy, and when you are joyful, who want to be joyful with you. Being joyful doesn't mean life unfolds perfectly or we always have a smile on our face.
It comes from a deeper place of peace where we believe that God has a plan.
And we surrender to that plan, which relieves us of needless anxiety.
A joyful Christian stands out in a world full of stress and worry.
How do you stand out as a Christian and make a joyful noise?
We'd love to hear your story.
Contact us at realfaithtv.com.
Or share your thoughts with us on Twitter.
And finally this from the Gospel of John.
Jesus said,
I give you a new commandment. Love one another.
As I have loved you, so you also should love one another.
This is how all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another.
Thanks for watching.
And as a special treat, we'll close the show with Sister Marilyn making a joyful noise.
Enjoy, and we'll see you next time on
Real Faith TV. God bless.